Picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue.
Good morning, everybody. It's Monday. It is new model day, new model week, and clean desktop. That's always a good sign. And the first thing we're going to work on this week is going to be maybe a little bit of cleaning. But the first thing we're going to work on this week is the Atreides Ornithopter from Meng. I have been told that it is not meng. It is not ming. It is not meng. It is meng. So that's the company, available at your fine model retailers. I don't anticipate this taking a lot of time, so I am also have a secondary kit on deck, and we'll see if we need to get to both of them this week. We probably will. And the second one is the Harryhausen Rhedosaurus. Now, I don't know why they are not saying this is the creature from the beast from 20,000 fathoms or 30,000, however many thousand fathoms there were. I don't know why there might be some rights issue with using the name of the film, but it is fully authorized and endorsed by the Harryhausen Foundation themselves, and that's good enough for me. So we are going to be putting both of these on the bench. Now they are both, ironically, 1/72nd scale. So we can do a little bang and crash with the Rhedosaurus and the Ornithopter if we want to when we're done. I will be doing the Rhedosaurus in color, not in black and white, even though the movie itself is in black and white, and as such, colors are subject to interpretation. Now it's the instructions certainly give you some colors, and that'll be a good place to start, but I don't know if those are the colors I'm going to use. We'll find out as the week progresses. Now, one of the things I will be doing for both of these kits is producing masks, lighting masks, particularly for the Rhedosaurus, for the lighthouse, because these window pieces, and of course the big light at the top, they need to have the frameworks masked so that you can get a nice, clean, effective, and I'm looking for the parts. Yes, here they are. Look at all of that. You can see all of that framework would be the devil's own problem to try to paint by hand. So we're going to be working on some triangle masks to mask these windows off, and the windows in the actual body of the lighthouse, those guys right there. And we're also going to be making masks for the Ornithopter. Now the Ornithopter, it being a Meng kit, is mostly snapped together, but we are going to be gluing it and painting it, even though if your traditional Bandai-esque construction means it is going to be very tightly engineered and probably won't need to be glued. I'm going to be gluing it. It's going to have the optional fun of having the wings posable. Though they're obviously not mechanized. I don't even know how well this would actually work in real life. This would have to be made out of some sort of space material to take the abuse that it would have to take to work. It's not like a dragonfly in real life, but certainly modeled that way. And the problem with it is it's going to need to be painted. And when you need to paint something, particularly something that has windows like this, you're going to want to mask those. So we're going to start from the inside out. We're going to be painting up and creating the cockpit and then sealing it inside. I have gone through the instructions just to see what we're looking at, and I'm looking at the mechanism for the blades. That's going to be fun. But yeah, we're going to start with that. And the nice thing about this ornithopter is that when you are wanting to display it on your shelf, it folds up quite compactly to be long and skinny like this. But when you want to pull it out to display, you can pull the wings out and display it that way as well. So it won't take up a lot of shelf space, which, as we all know, is the only reason I build models these days. Just things that don't take up a lot of shelf space. So let's get to working on the interior, and I'll try to keep the Atreides jokes to a minimum because they've been doomed to death. I will not be I'll trade you this kit for another kit. We're going to sign a piece of Atreides. Any of those. You will not be hearing any of those. So let's get some parts out and start some basic construction. All right, work is sailing right along on the Ornithopter. Now I have got the main bolts of it, nuts and bolts of it put together. I've got the cockpit assembled. I'm doing a little bit of painting now before we get too much further into it. Dark iron seems to be the color of choice, with a little bit of let me see what I have mixed. A little bit of metallic gray I think I've got mixed into it. More blacks in the cockpit, and I'm wondering, I'll probably do a lot more painting on this before I cut these off the sprue. I'm thinking that these blades are going to need to have a color on them. I just, something in me won't let me put out a model that's just bare plastic. So I'm going to be painting a lot of this, even if it's like this, the dark iron, which is very similar. I'm not using the AK colors that they've spec'd because I don't have access to AK colors. I'm going to use what I've got. I'm not going to buy another line of paints just for this. I'll use what I got. But I'm spraying up like the landing gear, and I'm not even sure which version I'm going to use. I probably will use the folded up landing gear. Let me see. That's the display landing gear, and I'm wondering if you can. Is it possible to swap those out if needed? I'm guessing you can swap it out. Yeah, we got landing gear deployed, landing gear retracted. I don't know how much duplication of parts there is, but I'll go ahead and paint everything up, and then I'll decide what I'm going to use as we get further down that particular road. So, just mixing up a lot of really dull green, brownish black paint, and that's what we're painting the body with. Alrighty, so I'm getting ready to take a lunch break, and the main question of the day has been answered. Yes, there are two sets of landing gears. This whole undercarriage can be swapped out for whether or not you are going to do the landed version or the in-flight version, and I think that's swell. I think that's a great idea. Rather than trying to just swap out the individual legs, they just made the whole undercarriage one pop in, one pop out. Now I am going ahead and gluing a lot of these joints, but I won't be gluing obviously the big one that allows you to do that. But having the whole undercarriage as a individual piece, that means I can go in and weather it and put the streaks and the oil and all that kind of stuff on there, and really enjoy it as a separate piece without having to worry about getting in and out of it and fussing it up, because a lot of these parts are kind of delicate and you really don't want to be monkeying with them too much. Okay, I'm shutting down for today because, like I said, I don't want to take this. I could have finished this very easily today, but I've taken my time, walked away from it a few times, come back. Couldn't do any more yard work today because it rained again last night. It's been raining every night, and therefore the yard does not get sufficient time to dry. And I had to mow what I could yesterday before I'd start losing small children and neighborhood pets in the yard, so that had to be done. But I've got the majority of this chunk of the ship done, and I'll do the wings and the guts of that tomorrow. But I've got the landing gear. Now I'm going to go through there with washes and dry brushing and some dusting of things to bring out those colors. But that's largely done. That goes like this and fits on it like that. But most of all this is done. It's just a question of doing some dry brush finishes and fixing it all up, but then putting in the window glass is going to be the main portion of tomorrow, plus adding all of those wings and cleaning up these joints. I doubt that there's going to be even much sanding that needs to be done, but I can see where some joints could stand to have a little kiss of sanding paper done to them. Let me pull this cockpit back out. I don't want that to get sealed in there, but I could see, let's see, do I have a sanding stick? Sanding stick. Yes. Sanding stick. Just rubbing it over the couple of those facets. Maybe putting a little bit of the MEK in there. For a snap together kit, this is a pretty clean finish, but that doesn't mean I can't put some glue into some of the joints. But yeah, I did. Like I said, I knew it wasn't going to be all that complicated. So we'll have plenty of time to do this and the Rhedosaurus this week. Morning, everybody. It's Tuesday. Work is continuing on the Ornithopter. Now we're getting to the tricky stuff. I have achieved most of the rest of the build. You really got to pay attention to those wings. There's a certain way they go on the this piece right here. There's a certain way these go on, and if you don't get it right, it won't lay flat this way. You'll end up with a crook in it, and you'll never get the complete wing going all the way out to the side, perpendicular to the body. So pay attention to that. What I'm working on now is the masking for the windows or for the canopy. Now I realize that the way the model is constructed, you can build all of this and then put the windows in last, and you will be, you know, a bright and happy child. What I'm doing is making window masks so that you can go ahead and put this in and then do an overall painting without worrying about getting any paint on the glass. If you just left that in, you might run the risk of getting paint into your cockpit, which, you know, could cause chafing. So it's a simple enough thing to do. I'm just going to try it out now. The last things really to do is to build the little people and put the little people in there and give them some sort of contrast. Now this is a symphony of brown. It's a symphony of browns and blacks and dusty. I look forward to using a lot of that sand flurry washes. If you thought I used a lot on the sand crawler, boy howdy, wait till you see how much I use on this. I really like the stance of this. When it's sitting on the deployed landing gear, I really like the stance of it. You get the water bug effect of it just sitting there just so neatly. But then again, like I said, you've got these guys going in, and I'll wait to put these in last. I'm thinking that they need some sort of weathering, but I don't know how much to give it. I would like to, granted this is all space metal, so it doesn't necessarily have to obey the laws of earth metals, but I would like to have some sort of maybe a silver highlight that might show where some paint has been nicked off, or if these were in fact painted at all and are not just made out of, you know, the space metal that they're made out of. I would like to give some sort of metallic look to it, and maybe do something to cover up some obvious seams, but the ones that are less than obvious I'm going to leave alone. Let's see, if that goes like that, that goes like that, you can kind of get the idea of how these are looking. Now I just need to turn it like that. There you go. So this is going to take up a neat amount of shelf space when you've got the wings retracted. Now your design is such that you go like this and then turn them 180 degrees for the extended wing. But that's going to take up a good 2 feet of shelf space that way. I mean, that's nearly, let's see if I did that and that. That's nearly 3 feet of shelf space. That's a little more than, well, it's too big to get in cameras how big it is. It is a way back here. You can see how wide that is. So yeah, it's best to fold it up and do this with it. And then set it on the shelf. Very nice. Alrighty, so I've got the masks done. Yay! Masks are done for all of the windows. Now, this is going to allow me to pop this in place. I'm also starting to do some detail painting inside of the cockpit. And get this ready to go on like that, and then I'll be free to seal that in, glue that in and sand it and seam it and all that kind of stuff, and get it painted to match the rest of the fuselage. Then the last thing to do would be to weather this thing up and put the big wings on it. I'm kind of holding back on putting the wings on because as soon as you do that, it becomes immediately much more cumbersome to work around. Let's see, we get these. Oops, get these with the elbows bent back on them. I did a goof on one. Before I was paying attention that strictly, and I broke some pins, so I'm going to have to repin this one. But luckily, that just means I have to drill this out right here, because I had to cut the pins on the inside to get the wing out, and I can just cut a short length of tubing and take care of that. Okay, we're getting ready to wind down on a Tuesday, and I will tell you that it may not look like I got a lot done on the Ornithopter, and that's true. But I also, I got all the masking done for the canopy, which takes, it's not as fast, it doesn't go as quickly as you think it might. And at the same time, since I had the same tools out, I went ahead and made the masks for the Rhedosaurus kit for the lighthouse windows and for the lamp housing itself. So that took some time. And now that those are done, I can zip through the rest of the construction on those. The Ornithopter itself, I am ready now. Since I've got this mask, I can go ahead and stick that on and glue up that seam. But before I do that, I want to make sure I'm happy with the contents inside, make sure I'm happy with how everybody's looking inside there. And then I will be ready to pop the big wings on. So what may not look like a lot is actually bringing me closer to being done. There is I'll have to go back and check the film again, because there's a conflict that I've got in mind. In my mind, I have a conflict between the idea that there would be oil or grease or other lubricants kind of leaking down the side or staining the side of the Ornithopter, and the fact that this is a famously, if not what's the word, raison d'etre, I mean the famously arid, dry planet of Arrakis. Does that mean it's completely devoid of moisture, or is it only devoid of usable moisture? I mean, they certainly conserve. I know the Fremen conserve every ounce of available liquid, but is the same held true with the Atreides on their ornithopters? Is there? I mean, you're not gonna go home and wash them down like a fire engine after every trip, but is there a reason to have like grease or grime or anything around the landing gear, or is that all supposed to be very, very dry, with the exception of some dust and sand? I'll be getting a lot of use out of the Flory sand wash. But a lot of, I've got some of that back here, and I'm really digging how that looks. I like how that's looking. So that's the kind of look I'm going for. But is there any excessive mechanical lubricants on here that need to be represented? So that may be part of my homework for this evening, is to at least pull out the first half hour or so, the ones where we see Paul and Lady Jessica, and I think it's Gurney, being ferried around and shown the harvesting techniques. That's the era of this particular representation of the ornithopter that I'm using. So that's it, and we'll hit this strong again tomorrow. Morning, everybody. It's Wednesday. Welcome back. Now, you may have noticed a new addition to the table. Yeah, because it was ridiculously easy to build, I just went ahead last night and started on the Rhedosaurus and pretty much got him done. So we are in a place where we can start doing some heavy painting on that. I am going to finish up on the ornithopter first, though. I need to touch up the cockpit a bit before we can put the last piece in, which is to seal this in, and that way I can sand up that joint and get it nice and done and put it on camera. Put this on camera. Yeah, this is the guy right here. I need to put get a nice once over on the cockpit here, and then I can seal this up like I was saying, and then do the last bit of sanding. And then we do this, and then we leave the wing. We're going to leave the wings. I'm going to paint them separately, but we're going to leave them off because it's just so much easier to handle this kit without it. And then we can pop them on at the end. The way this is constructed, they're meant to be mobile, so there's no need to worry about gluing those down. So let's get the washers. I want to put a wash over this to kind of bring out some of those details, and then we're going to do a quick little silver pass just on some high spots there to nick the paint here and there. Then we can turn our attentions to the Rhedosaurus. Now I scoured my drawer O circuitry, and I do have a nice breathing slow flash that I can put in the top of the lighthouse there, and I've got some flickering key light bulbs that I can put in the various rooms. Now I'm going to go ahead and take this off. I'll take that off and take this off, and what I can do is, the way this is designed is I will make one light that does these two, this story, and one light that does that story. I don't think we need to have, we don't want to have the same light flickering in all of them. If I can make two separate, I can make a distinction between this floor and this floor. That way the lights, it doesn't look like one big light that's on all the time. And all I need to do is cut a little stay in there that I can put just out of sheet stock, and that'll take care of that. And we'll put a bulb there and a bulb below it. So that'll be fun. That'll be some fun lighting stuff, and we'll get into the priming and painting of this. There's going to be a lot of grays on the rocks and on the lighthouse, and then some greenish reptile colors on the greenish reptile. That's funny how that works. Alright, it might look a little bit more like an impressionist painting than an actual cockpit, but we've got everybody in, and now I don't know why they gave everybody still suits. Looks like the characters are all wearing still suits. Checking the movie, I would have much preferred the individual costumes that they had at the beginning when Lady Jessica and Paul are being shown the shield wall and things like that. But I understand that might have meant a little extra tooling to do that, a little extra sculpting. So we just have some generic Atreides in there, and they're in their desert gear. So I just threw some of the Flory washes in there, the dust and the sand, because even when you have the windows open, a little bit of wind will blow the sand in. So this is ready to glue in now, and then we can do the last bit of body painting before we attach the wing. Alrighty, with an impressive wingspan of 28 inches, it's a fair bet that it's never going to be displayed this way. It's always going to be displayed with the wings folded back. So that's what I think I need to do. Go ahead and fold those back. It's a nature of the beast that this being a styrene kit, let me see if I can get it in camera. This being a styrene kit, that the wings not being, you know, carbon fiber or anything, that they're going to droop towards the outside. They're not made of anything more substantial than the styrene. So we can go ahead and twist these and fold them back the way they're supposed to be folded, and kind of make room for everybody to let's see if I do that. Yeah, that makes room on that side. Oops. And let's see, that needs to be spun. And whoops. No, that's okay to be folded back the way it is. These ones need to be spun before they can be folded. But everything comes back like this, and then it sits on your hangar deck or landing zone or runway. It sits like this until such time that it is called upon to deploy the wings. Okay, I believe that is right. I believe they all have to spin so that this end is facing towards the back. So that goes like that. And this is spun so that it sits like that. Yeah, and then that puts the leading edge, makes them leading. Yeah, you fold those back out. The bottom ones are already in place. What is wrong with this guy? What is wrong with you? Are you not sitting? You're not sitting in your groove very clearly. Everybody else is kind of snapped in, but you. So let's snap you in. Well, that's okay. Its own weight is not holding it very well. The friction fits aren't quite as tight as they could be. I wonder if there's anything I could wrap that with. Go ahead and fold all of these. And one of those wonderful designs that work well on camera, but the practicality of them in real life is suspect. Good morning, everybody. How you doing? It's Thursday. It's the gateway to the weekend. I got a truncated week today because tomorrow I may not be on the table. I may be at a convention, so I am trying to get as much done today as I can. And we are in lighting day because the ornithopter's done. All I got to do is peel the masks off of the windows and it'll be done. Where I'm at today is lighting up the lighthouse for the Rhedosaurus, and it's a pretty simple thing, but I need to get it. I need to get the lighting done before I can close up both halves. So I've gone ahead and got a primer coat on the beastie himself and the base, and that's going to kind of come together pretty quickly. But what I need to do this morning is to give me a light for my lighthouse. Now I have taken the piece that you're meant to use and I've hollowed it out, cut the base off of it, hollowed it out so that I could stick it on top of an LED. Now it's not, that flickering isn't supposed to happen. That's how it's sitting on the battery. It's supposed to sit like that. And then that will go inside of here. Now I've done all the masking for all of those triangle recesses, and that was the tough part. That was a lot of what I was doing yesterday, was coming up with the masks for the windows and for the basil in the main part of the top. So now I've got to do some soldering to get these hooked up and complete. Now this is a circuit that I've had in my old circuit tray of lighting projects. I don't even remember exactly where this came from. It might have been from Elliot, it might have been from Ralph, but I think it was from Elliot. But it's basically, one wire goes off to an LED, one goes to power, one goes to a switch. I'm thinking that I am going to run this in the side of the lighthouse. I think I'm going to put it up here like that, but it's got this nice adjustment on it. I guess that, I don't know whether that's the technical term for it, the rheostat or something, but it allows me to adjust the speed of the blink. This is meant to be a strobe board, but if you turn it down all the way to the slow end, it makes a nice pulse, which is what I want to use for the lighthouse itself. So I think we're going to end up burying the board right in here, and I just need to cut some of that space out so that it doesn't block the window, but put it in like that, run this light up into this wire up into the light, and run the other two down and outside of the base, which has been thoughtfully provided with a hole there so that we can run this out. And I'll just put the battery down in the underside of the ground there. So I've got the iron heating up, because what I need to do right now is to put this LED, which I have also sanded down a little bit, and it's going to go inside of here and like that, and then that gets affixed inside of this. Once this happens, I can seal up this entire top of this lighthouse, and then I can start painting it. I need to put a light blocking coat over this, probably start with a gray automotive primer, and then maybe use a black coat. And I might just leave the framework black. I don't know any reason why it can't be black. So we'll leave that color and then kind of paint around it. And that's what I'm doing now. So the iron's heated up. Let me get to getting some of these boards put in, and then we'll come right back. Okay, I'm not convinced that it needed to take as much of a fight as it did, but we've got the lighthouse together. Now you're not going to see the effect of the windows, the lighting in there, because the windows are blocked, but we can see a bit of it here. I'm just holding it on a battery and a switch, because that stuff has yet to be mounted. Of course, the lighthouse has yet to be finally painted, but now we're to the point where once this dries, all I need to do now is go ahead and paint the whole lighthouse. But I can let I can go ahead and paint the framework and everything. I just need to let this dry for a second. It's gonna end up going down and be mounted in a base. Like, I can actually do that much of it too. I should go ahead and do that much, because the house is going to be where the switch is going to be located. So I can go ahead and glue that down to the base, and then pop the little switch into the back of this house. So let's go ahead and do that, and then we'll paint the whole thing. Alrighty, so I'm back. I have used the New World's Zenith Black to paint over the masking there to get those frameworks of the lighthouse nice and dark. Can't really show you the result of that until it dries. And of course, while I was at it, I just used that same black to basically prime everything. And then I can go back in and bring those colors out with a dry brush or a top coat. I've got the wee little house here. I've got a switch on the house here, and this will run down to the 9-volt battery here once we hook that up. Now the 9-volt right now is not going to show you a lot, because everything is painted and light blocked, but let me see. Go ahead and put that on there. Maybe you can see a little bit of that happening, and that just shows you how good the light block is. If I were to take one of those triangles off right now, which I can because I got plenty of spares, let me show you what that looks like. I'll go ahead and just take one of them off, take an obvious one off that I can replace easily enough. Okay, just take that one off. So now when I hook it up to the, put it up to the battery, there you can see, oops, you can see how good of a light block that material actually is. So we're going to let that dry, come back. I'm going to put that a new mask back over that. And then we're going to let that dry and come back. I'm going to hit it one more time with another coat. And then we'll be free to do the rest of the painting. I've only got this evening and really some bits of tomorrow to work on this. So we're going to see how much of it we get done. Hello, it's Friday. It's the last work day of the week. It may not be the last work day on the Rhedosaurus, and I'll tell you that why. I was at a convention today. I went to the GalaxyCon in Raleigh, picked up some new autographs for the wall. Always have pleasure to see Will Wheaton again, and I got they did a frame grab from his appearance on Star Trek Prodigy, which I thought was a nice surprise. So I had to get one of those, and I also asked him to sign this because it's a well-known fact that he is in The Last Starfighter, but he's not. He's credited for being in The Last Starfighter. He was in a crowd scene, and he was cut out. He told me where to look for him if I wanted to try to find him, but let me see if I can find the photo that I asked him to sign. And basically, this is from the 4K release, and here it is. He drew himself in the corner. There you go, because that's where he was. He was one of the kids in the trailer park that was one of Lewis's friends. So I got that. Ted Raimi, Joxer the Mighty, Emily Swallow, who is the armorer on Mandalorian, Brandon Routh, one of the best Supermen in my opinion, Legends of Tomorrow, but also I really particularly enjoy his take on the on Superman from the Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover that they did on Legends of Tomorrow, and one of my childhood heroes, Sid Croft of Sid and Marty Croft fame. No one needs a picture of Sid particularly, but I did get him to sign a picture of H.R. Puff and stuff with Witchy Poo. So that took all of my day, and I am going to maybe go back on Sunday to pick up some other people that I didn't get today. But I say all that to say this. I'm at a spot on the Rhedosaurus where I am mostly done, but I don't think I am completely done. So the question remains whether I will get it completely done in time or to my satisfaction. There's still a lot of finessing work to do. One thing I will do before I close up today, and I can go ahead and do that now, is I want to take the masks off of the windows in the lighthouse so that you can see how well those turned out. So let me take all these masks off and then we'll be right back. Okay, all the masks are off, and I hit the little switch here behind the shed. We have a very nice breathing lighthouse, and we've got flickering lights inside each of the windows. Let me see if I can give you a tighter view. See, there we have flickering lights inside there, and believe it or not, there's two different bulbs in there, so they're not flickering at the same time. And then we have this nicely painted frame for all of the I thought this was going to be tall enough to allow the 9-volt battery to sit underneath it, but apparently not. Okay, I'm ready to call the base done. Now, I am not putting the plaque on the front of this because you know how I feel about plaques that have to describe what it is. But you know, it does fill up some holes there nicely. So maybe, see, I could do I could do a gold rub with a black over top of that. Yeah, let's what the heck? I got a few minutes. Let's try. But there's the base with the flickering lights in the base. Now, if I had known they were going to shine that well, I probably would have frosted those windows from the inside. Maybe a flat coat over top of all this would do a nice job of frosting those windows, because I think you can see the bulbs a little bit too easily there. But there's the lighthouse light. So the Rhedosaurus is on the back deck getting a satin coat on it. So let me go swap these out. I'll go put a flat coat on this and bring the Rhedosaurus back in. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The final Rhedosaurus from the movie, which for some strange reason is not named in any of the packaging or promotional materials. So we will simply call it Ray Harryhausen's Rhedosaurus. And I've got and I did put a flat coat on the windows, and it did frost them up quite nicely, so you're not seeing in there and seeing the bulbs anymore. But we got a little switch back here, and we've got our ferocious Rhedosaurus. Now let me go get the Atreides Ornithopter, and we will show both of the ships and both of the kits of the week. Okay, and here is the Atreides Ornithopter back out on the table. Both of these kits, it should be noted, are the same scale. They are 1/72nd scale. So if you wanted to see how well a Rhedosaurus would fare against an Ornithopter, you can do a little crash bang in your own yard. The Ornithopter is I peeled the masking back off of the glass, and I think what I might want to do, honestly, is just take some of the Flory wash, the sand wash, and maybe just collect it down in some of the corners there. I don't want to go completely nuts with it, but I do want to add a little bit, because it's a little, I hate to say it, but it's a little too clean. Of course, the idea is to keep the windows clean from all of the painting, but I think this may be a little too clean. So we'll see about what happens when we try to paint some of the margins here and dust it up a little bit. Not going to go hog wild with it, but dusting it up a little bit. That's too much there. Let me get the tip of Q and clean that up a bit. Yeah, that's what I want to do. Just put some streaking that way with the Q-tip down the front. Just to, because I didn't see any windshield wipers on these ships. But it's nice that you can see completely into the cockpit. All of that work that you do in the cockpit, you do end up seeing after everything is in place. So that's kind of nice. And we will do a little bit just in the, I'm going to say that the top ones don't get cleaned off as much. Now the side ones are actually where the doors are. The whole window glazing pops up. So those are going to get knocked off every time you slam the door. That's going to kind of clean the windows off. So I'm not going to put anything on those. The secondary set of landing gear is nice for when you want to put it in flight and put it on the stand. The stand we haven't talked about. The stand looks like this. Let me move, put you in the water, move you back a little bit. And here's what the stand looks like. And you are meant to attach it to this undercarriage here. And then you can angle it and do all of the in-flight stuff that you want to do to angle that. Now, unfortunately, like I mentioned earlier, if you extend the wings on this, that's a hefty 28 inches across. And I don't know anybody that's got that kind of shelf space. So we're better off leaving it with the wings folded up. But, oh, another thing I noticed that I did want to make mention of, even if you are using the the sat on the ground version with all of this, is that it tends to want to be a little bit back heavy. So you may end up, you may find, see, there's no spot on there. There's no spot on these landing gear for this to fit on the base. You might find yourself wanting to put a little bit of weight on the front, either in the landing gear here or somewhere. Just hide a little bit of a fishing lure weight or something, a little bit of lead, to keep that nose down on the ground like it should be. It wants to kick up just a little bit. Maybe even you could shim the back landing gear a little bit so that it kicks it up and puts more weight on the front. But that was just something that I had noticed that I thought was strange, that it was weighted that way. The wings are a bit problematic. They, as far as being able to keep them straight without them bending. I mean, you put that much strain on any part, and it's going to start to bend after a while. The gears that are holding the friction fit that is holding them in place is doing the best it can, but it's got a hard row because of the weight of those. It just naturally wants to fall down towards the back. It's not exactly nacelle droop, but it's in the same family. So now that flurry has dried, I'm going to go ahead and wipe some of it off. That was too much, but not completely. See, there you go. But that is the Atreides Ornithopter. The Harkonnen one will be coming out later this year, and I'm sure I will build it and put it next to that so you can see a fair comparison. And then maybe the two of them can team up and take on the Rhedosaurus. And that's going to do it for this little kind of a twofer build, the 1/72nd week. The 72nd scale week, maybe we'll call it that. But it's the Rhedosaurus and the Atreides Ornithopter. Here we are, we're coming up on the end of July, last week in July. I'm going to go ahead and warn you now. Taking a week off in August. Going to do another road trip out to the West Coast, see my buddy Phil. So that week I will be on the road and there will be no build. Next week, I had some things planned. I did, and there goes the freaking phone. Hold on, I'll be right back. And that was Phil on the phone. So it's always good to talk to Phil. So until next, where was I? I was talking about next week's build. Next week's build, I think, is going to be a stop the presses type of thing, because a kit just came in the mail from Steve that I wasn't waiting for it because I didn't know it was going to be available. All of a sudden it's here and it's ready to go. And it's something that I think I can do and finish in 1 week and do a good job on. So until then, till next week, y'all be safe, be smart, be good to each other, good to yourself, and we'll see you here next time.